Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Surah Al-Baqarah is the second surah of the Holy Quran. It's the longest surah of the Holy Quran, consisting of 286 verses. It's described as a Madani surah. It's important to be able to subcategorize surahs either Makki or Madani. This refers to their period of revelation, whether they were revealed before or after the Hijri, before or after the migration. Surah Al-Baqarah was predominantly revealed in the first 2 years following the Hijri in Medina al-Munawwarah. What I'd like to do today is to get straight into the text and subsequently talk about the pretext and the context of the surah. The first ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah begins with alif in poetry. And this is a juxtaposition. Juxtaposition means, in poetic terms, putting two things together for a magnified an amplitude, for a much more deeper impact. So for example, if the second ayah was, this is a book in which there is no doubt, and the first ayah was something like 1 + 1 is 2, you could square that. But when the haruf are simply alif, lam, mim, and up until the revelation of the Holy Quran, there was no historical linguistic precedent for the usage of language like this. So no poets had ever put together letters in this way for an effect. So people were immediately astounded. The great poets of Makkah, the great scholars of Medina were simply alarmed by what does this mean? And it was this intrigue that the Quran was there to capture humankind's mind. Alif, Lam, Mim, and other haruf in the Quran, these are haruf muqatta'at, and these are, their meanings are only known to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So within the alif, lam, and mim, there is an immediate secret that people often say that, Na'udhu billah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he may have been an ordinary man, but the alif of alif, lam, mim is enough to say that no ordinary man, no one till Yawm al-Qiyamah will understand what that means except Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So even within the first letter of Al-Baqarah, Shan Mustafa is mentioned. The second letter is in Shan Mustafa, and the third letter is in Shan Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. This is a book in which there is no doubt. Now the Quran could have mentioned, instead of calling itself Kitab, could have mentioned ذَلِكَ الْقُرْآنُ or ذَلِكَ الْفُرْقَانُ or any other word. But why was the word Kitab used? The root word of Kitab comes from Kataba. Kataba literally means to carve out of stone, to carve out of wood. Because originally the Quran was either memorized or it was jotted down on either stone, or it was on slate, or it was on the skin of animals. It was carved out. Now the reason why that's very important in today's day to understand is if me or you write something and we make a mistake, how do we document now? We use a computer or we use a program. If we make a mistake, we simply press delete. Or if we want to move something around, we simply press select or Control A, Control X to cut it and paste it somewhere else. But the Quran itself was kataba, that how it came down, it had to be preserved in that way till Yawm al-Qiyamah, and the fact that till today no errors can be found is another proof of its sanctity and of its beauty. So the word kataba or kitab has great significance in the opening. La rayba. Rayb means doubt, but it specifically refers to the doubt that human beings have deep in themselves. When you have it's a really troubling feeling. For example, one of the worst feelings in a marital couple can be if you have doubt on your partner. It's an inner doubt. You have a suspicion, you're not sure, but that eats you away. Rayb is that type of doubt. The Quran says, La rayba fi, that it will even remove your inner doubts, your inner fears. That is the scale and the weight of this kitab. Hudal lil muttaqeen. Hudal means guidance. Hudal comes from the root word hidayah and hadiya. Hadiya means gift. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is presenting this not as a burden, not as a, oh, I have to do this and that and my friends can enjoy this without any guilt or without any fear. But Allah is saying, if you follow this, this is a gift for you. Hudan lil muttaqeen. That this is a guidance for the believers. And this answers one of the most pertinent questions that we have today. The question is, why is it that Muslims in number is the greatest religion in the world? Why is it that there are so many Muslims across the world? There is something called the Muslim world as well. There are unlimited, it is the fastest growing religion as well. But why is it that if you look at the parameters and indices of development of countries, why is it that Muslims are failing at present? And it's a really serious question. Why is it that if you look at the use of illicit websites, they're higher in the Muslim world than in the non-Muslim world? If you look at the indices of corruption, something that the Quran deeply warned against, the indices are higher in Muslim countries than they are in non-Muslim countries. The answer to that, because people say you have the Quran, you have the guidance, you have the Sunnah, so why is it that these numbers exist? The Quran answers that within this very verse and says the guidance did not say Hudan lil Muslimin, did not say just simply say La ilaha illallah and you'll become guided by this Quran, but Hudan lil Muttaqeen, become people of Iman and you will gain guidance. So immediately there was an invitation for us that do not passively float through this book. Do not just curl up with it and have it on your shelf and think you'll be guided, but actually work on yourself, elevate yourself into the level of muttaqeen, and then Allah will guide you. So immediately there's a transaction at place. It's not something to take for granted, as we often do. It's not a simple tradition that you pull the book out when somebody passes away, or you put it on top of a bride's head, or you just simply read it at funerals or at annual commemorations. But actually, if you want to really take guidance from it and use it as a heavenly gift, then work on your Iman. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and lil muttaqeen is a very interesting phrase. Muttaqeen is an adverbial phrase. Adverbial phrase is a recurring or present tense phrase. We often become despondent. We think, where are the great people of today? We do. As young people, we look for role models. Instead of hearing about great people in the world, instead of hearing about things from our pulpit, all the young people hear about is fundraisers, raising for this, raising for that, and they feel lost. They feel, where are the good people? Now the older people in this room will of course have the older people in the room will have had the privilege of seeing eminent scholars, true scholars, and you will know that when you sit in their company, you are moved. You are moved. Our young children are bereft of that, because there are very few people now left in this dunya, apparently, who are like that. But muttaqeen, this verse contrasts from Al-Fatiha Sharif. Fatiha Sharif was past tense. It said, Sirat al-Ladina an'amta alayhim, those you had favored, which is past tense. They've gone. But muttaqeen is present tense. It goes to show that the Quran itself gives the injunction that in every time there will always be pious people. There will always be the muttaqeen. And it means that you and I and our children and our families can enter this rank. So it's something to be hopeful about, not something to become afraid about. So we're going to wrap up there for today. I'm going to summarize by saying the Alif Al-Baqarah Sharif begins with Haruf Muqatta'at, which goes to show the status of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that only he knows the divine secret, and that this is a book that we should take pride in learning about. And it's something that is there that will remove our inner doubts and provide us with tranquility. And it's an invitation for us to increase our iman, to become the people of taqwa and tahara and cleanliness, both inward and outward, and will guide us and provide us with great tranquility.